为英雄之前，你不曾拥有姓名。冲向终点的路很长，但谁也无法预知结局。有人前倾暗影，谋而后动；有人拼尽全力，克敌机先。没有对与错，只有速度是唯一的答案。奔跑吧，在到达终点之前。
Welcome one and all back here to the Chinese DPC. We are continuing with this final week of the third and final tour of the 2021-2022 season. We're running up to TI. We are running up, of course, to these teams trying to compete at the all-important qualifiers. But for now, we turn our attention to a relegation matchup. Ybb Gaming taking on Team Saiyan, and the loser of which guaranteed to be bounced out of the Division 2 of the DPC have to make the hard road back if they want to compete once more within the Valve Leagues. Now, we are going to be looking forward to the series, hoping for another 3-game extravaganza here. And of course, I'm going to be joined by Lizard, and we've swapped out Nomad for our Cryptic. Good, sir. How you doing today? And how are you feeling about these games?
I'm good, man. Yeah, thanks for asking. I'm excited for this game. I think YBB definitely have a little bit of an advantage here. I think there's a little bit more expectation from this team, but they've definitely not performed, here in Division 2. And so with that being said, it's pretty much going to be anyone's game.
Yeah, it completely depends on the emotional state of both teams here, right? Because like we talked before Ricky joined us. Hi, Ricky, by the way.
Hello.
Like we talked before he joined us. Yeah, there's a lot on the line, and it can become Tilt City. It can become Throw City as well for both of these teams. We'll see which one of them has like a better control on their emotions and on the hype. I hope that we see good Dota. That's my wish overall, right? From Team Saiyan, like I don't know, from YBB I've seen more. Like I feel that I've seen them perform better, and I feel that they can win the lanes, they can even do well in the mid game, but they just lose themselves on how to finish the games, right? Or situations like that happen very often with them. For Saiyan, it can get rough from the beginning to the end. So far, at least, it has been that way.
To vindicate this point that you're making, as we look at this sheet here, the lane advantage that YBB enjoys is more often than not, and exactly the opposite scenario here for Team Saiyan, really struggling to get off the ground with a running start. So we're going to be seeing if this is going to be a different story for us here today. Hopefully, they are going to make it a competitive series. And as these drafts are getting ready, there is a lot of heroes that we want to see. The most important one for Team Saiyan, though, has usually been this Dawnbreaker. Every time they do well is when Dawnbreaker is involved. Makes sense, though. Glowing hero for a team with a glowing name. Now we get into it, and no surprises, the glowing hero is going to be the first overall pick for the side of Team Saiyan. We're going to see what the duo is, but Death Prophet on the other side. She's back, baby. First pick, first ban every game. Yay! Quite enjoyable. But very interesting here, Ricky. They ban out this Brewmaster, despite the fact that Team Saiyan don't necessarily have the best Brewmaster player in the world. Son Goku has had a decent game here and there, but what do you make of them first banning overall Brewmaster from the side of YPB?
I think this is kind of something that they're just worried about being flexed, and like the control that comes in the team fights is really annoying to deal with. So it's pretty great at controlling up the Death Prophet. You can pop Exorcism, then sometimes you just get thrown right into the air. So rather than deal with it, they just ban it out. They get to pick their own Death Prophet. And now the Nyx Assassin pick here is super nice. Ooh. This is fantastic. Counters out both Dawnbreaker and the Puck.
They had to expect it though, right? Like you're picking Dawnbreaker. Even with just the Dawnbreaker, I feel like you need to expect the Nyx Assassin coming out. I wouldn't say that it's that massive of a Puck counter though. People keep on saying that. I feel that he's good, but he doesn't break the game for him. Like there are ways to play against. Like even when you spam out the orbs, you can go in phase shift and whatnot. But it's not enjoyable to play against. Like there are better heroes too.
You're just like on edge the whole time. That's the thing that sucks, right? You're like every time you throw an orb, you can't risk not phase shifting because like the one time you don't, there might be a Nyx assassin there waiting with a spike carapace, which just sucks. Like it's so rough playing the game like that.
Just makes things much more difficult than it should be otherwise. The one bright spot as well with this Nyx assassin is that there can be information acquired all across the map with this hero. Will be quite important though to pair him with something that'll still allow them to do stuff. We just hate to see another situation where this Nyx is the only hero on the map capable of making things happen for the squad. So we'll see how it goes. For Team Saiyan, they get some more initiation, some decent laning with this clockwork. Presumably, this is a clock Dawnbreaker lane, which seems pretty decent to me, Ricky. How do you like it into the Faceless Void now that we see being snagged up by YBB?
I think the clock's actually pretty flexible. I don't think it has to be like clock Dawnbreaker lane. I think these could be both your supports. They could be cores. So it's definitely something that they can move around a little bit. Dawnbreaker 5 or 3, Clockwork 5, 4, and 3 is usually like a possibility. So we'll see what they decide to do.
Dawnbreaker 1.
Dawnbreaker 1.
2.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit.
I grab the Enigma. I mean, so far, pretty good pick is there's not really any BKB disables outside Chrono. So this means like if you find the Faceless Void in your Chronosphere in the late game, it's a pretty like free Enigma game. And now you have to draft like a BKB piercing disable from your mid lane. Or at least an Enigma counter from the mid lane.
It could be DP mid, right? Like you could put DP mid and then offlane Beast or something like that.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
It feels like they were telegraphing this Enigma pick, though. I'm looking back at their bans, and that first ban on the Warlock, now that I'm thinking about it, it's been a while since I've seen an Enigma game where they haven't banned Warlock and that it succeeds. So good understanding of what to do here. Lack of disables is starting to become a bit of a problem for YBB. Let's see. Their mid-game damage is okay once they get Bubble, Exorcism Ghost, impetus shots coming in. But if they miss that timing to be able to fight around that, feels difficult for them to take fights as long as this Enigma is getting farm on the map. Where do we go from here? While we're looking into that, it'll interest you to hear, Lizard, that this Nyx Assassin has beaten Puck in the DPC 9 times and lost 3 times. So for the most part, it has been doing fairly decently, but of course not as many games as we would like because many teams just ban Nyx Assassin when they are picking the Puck for themselves. What do you want to see here for the mid lane / off lane for YBB though at the end of their draft?
Do they ban him because they are picking the Puck or because they're picking Dawnbreaker Puck combo? I feel like they're banning it because they're picking Dawnbreaker. And then Nyx Assassin comes in and just ruins the combination. That's the way I see it. Because Puck was popular for the last 3 months and Nyx wasn't seen. Right? Like the first 6 months of this year, Nyx wasn't picked up at all. And now the Dawnbreaker is popular. Teams are starting to respond to it with the Nyx. And then on top of that, it's decent versus the Puck too, I guess.
It has been picked. You are considerably correct. It has been picked mostly and banned mostly when there's Dawnbreaker and Puck in that order being involved in these games. So that certainly is a correct read on the situation. It's almost like you know what you're talking about. That's why they pay you the big bucks.
Oh my! I just watched some games, man. That's it. That's all. Ember picked up, eh? What do you think? What do you guys think about the Ember? I feel like Puck should have a decent game here. He has Ember to silence, Void to silence, and catch.
I agree. I'm actually not a really big fan of this Ember pick here. Like they have a decent amount of catch for it. They have follow up. And I was talking about their lack of disable earlier, and now it just is amplified so much more by just one of the perfect anti-mage. This is just an absolute perfect anti-mage game.
Ooh, where is Black? Somebody call him up and let him know we finally get this last pick anti-mage emerging here for Team Saiyan. So there is barely any lockdown on the side of YBB. At the very least, lockdown that's going to threaten him. You build Manta style, so you're not really concerned at all about the DP silence. The scaling potential of this hero is going to be decent. You can get involved quickly. This is terrifying here, Lizard. Make it make sense. How do they beat this anti-mage from the side of YBB?
They don't. I'm gonna go with Team Saiyan. I'm really heavily in their camp. And if Team Saiyan doesn't manage to win this game, then I'm jumping ship and I'm going back to YBB for the next 2 games, no matter what happens, no matter what the drafts are.
Oh
I feel
my
that,
gosh.
yeah, I feel Team
Ricky, do you
Saiyan is
think
that
it's
strong.
that much of an outdraft? Are you with Lizard that it's that deep? How Team Saiyan has rounded this out?
I mean, I wasn't really sure how they were going to deal with the Enigma personally. Like, I thought that was just such a major issue already. But now you also just have like the freest anti-mage game. Like, you can't really do anything outside of chronoing him. And even if you manage to find him in a chronosphere, like, you don't have the damage to find the kill. So yeah, I think if Saiyan like take this game past 30 minutes, this game is theirs. Like, the only way they lose is if they get massively rolled in lanes and this game ends at like 19, 20 minutes.
19, 20 minutes. Unfortunately, I'm looking at the heroes that they have on the side of YBB, and yes, I can see them being able to roll the laning phase, but they only have really this DP for being able to hit towers. Going up the hill feels fairly difficult from them. Saiyan has some ways to be able to get some D push going as well. I think we might be Costas cursing them. That we're going to have a 3-panel prediction in favor of Team Saiyan. However, they still have to play the game properly to win this one out. Will they be able to do so and grab only their second win in Division 2, or will it be Ybb Gaming showing us something special with this bit of an off-kilter draft? We will find out together. And on the mic, we have Luscious Lizard and Pretty Boy Ricky. Take it away, boys, for game number 1.
Luscious Lizard. Ooh.
Luscious and Pretty Boy.
He came up with creative names for you. I just get Pretty Boy. I don't know.
Nomad was the narrator, so I think I think I just got the luscious word and that's it. You know,
Like good old alliteration there. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't really think this through. But
there's not a lot that you can probably rhyme with, R cryptic or I don't know. It's an R.
With Ricky, you could probably,
Yeah, like icky. Yeah, that's
prickly. Prickly Rickly. I don't know, something. Yeah, probably we could find something good if we thought about it. 3 runes going for YBB.
Yeah, I mean, this. Right? We can talk all day about like why this game is so bad late game for YBB, but let's talk about like these lanes, right? Because they do have what appears to be decently strong lanes, right? You've got a Death Prophet. They've actually gone ahead and swapped the lanes to get the Death Prophet into the safe lane, and they're going to take the Faceless Foot aggressively into the anti-mage. And you also have Polosin's Enchantress there, so pretty strong lane here at the top side if they actually manage to make this work. And
I do like the switch up, and I also know that we've been very pessimistic about their chances during the drafts, but I don't think it's that black and white. I actually believe that they have a chance. You have this Void and Ember; they can scale pretty damn well. Yeah, there is a black hole, but there's also a Chronosphere, and yeah, there is an anti-mage, but anti-mage needs to find his farm before these two find theirs, right? Yeah. And can he do it? Yeah, but he's playing versus a Nyx plus Ember. If Nyx Assassin gets fast levels and he starts scouting his farming patterns out, you just set up with the Carapace, you follow up with an Ember. You can be feeding on that AM.
Yeah.
It's hard to execute, though. That's probably the point, right? Like, it's much easier to play the game if you're Saiyan.
Yeah, I would agree. What do you think of the off-lane Enigma, though? Like, this is not a hero that we see all that often. I think it, usually gets banned. Well, I mean, I would say more often than not, it ends up getting banned, but... Have you...
There's a reason. Yeah, there's a reason why it's banned.
Yeah, explain it to the viewers. Why is this hero so often banned?
No, it's just very, very strong right now. Even if you counter Enigma, he just switches up the item build. The player just switches up the item build, and then it doesn't matter that you counter, that you got some BKB piercing ability. He comes up with that great pack that's so naturally built on the Enigma as well, benefits the Eidolons quite a bit, benefits the team, goes into Boots of Bearing or something like that afterwards. Just has a lot of impact no matter what you do. Plus, the lane will always be easy, and it will allow your position forward to perhaps rotate around the map, do something else elsewhere.
Yeah, we see Aaron actually kind of duking it out with 928 in the jungle here. Is Goku able to just continuously use the demonic conversion to get his Eidolons up, and once they've split, it's really, really, really easy to get denies. It's going to make CSing that much more difficult for Aiden here, and you can see he's already up to 7 on the Enigma. Probably just going to continue to expand that as we go on.
Yep. The classic Enigma, and I'll deny every single range creep, and I'll be level ahead no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Even with the nerfs, remember how hard this hero fell off the face of the earth when they nerfed Eidolons? I was the first one to say that Enigma is dead, and the hero was dead until it got changed up a little bit and some items got added to the game, and suddenly people realized that the laning stage is harder, but it's not impossible any longer. Like it's not that harder that you can't play.
Yeah, the cooldown increases definitely made it pretty rough, but Malefice got a couple of buffs over recent times, didn't it? I feel like Malefice actually got buffed while they nerfed the rest of the kit, and Malefice has felt pretty strong. But you're right, like the lane stage is just not like as I would say face roll as it has been in the past, right? And it requires a little bit more coordination to pull off, but as the game goes on, you still have an Enigma, and that threat is always going to be an issue, pretty much no matter what.
Yeah, top lane, they're crushing, by the way. AM, half the CS of the Void, really not having a good time. And that comes most of from the Enchantress, right? Like the Ench is doing some serious work on top lane.
He found the Harpy with his last enchant and just dropped the 3 Chain Lightnings into MS pretty much right away, which just, that's never going to feel good.
And then the Satire as well. So one after another, mana burn.
Yeah.
Chain Lightning.
Polo Sin actually caught off to the side. Sinful Soul's going to come in to try and keep him alive, but the Battery Salt will be able to finish him up. But pretty value trade there as he gets the kill onto that anti-mage. What? Just get bashed triple. He literally just triple bashed into 4 free autos.
Yeah, his bashes have bashes. And his bashes have bashes too.
That is
cool stuff.
Level 3 time lock, 20%. I don't know about that one. That seemed
kind of sus.
Yeah, that's very unlucky for the Clockwork. You're just like, you walk up, you get attacked once by the Faceless Void, and you lose 450 health.
I mean, it's not luck, it's skill. The guy just knows how to bash. It's...
He primed it, is what you're saying.
Exactly. He was... He calculated it exactly. Like he was counting all his bashes. It's like counting cards. You just have to be good at it. It's not impossible. Do you know that you have to scream bash when you're hitting him as well?
Yeah. I heard the louder it is, the more chances you have of the reoccurring bash as well.
Yeah, but it has to come from the heart. You can't. The problem is players usually have bash, like kind of annoyed.
Ember, Leash is going to expire. Cogs to push him back, but
BP
he's going to survive thanks to the rotation from 928. That being said, did you manage to find the kill bottom?
Yep. Not even a black hole committed or anything. They just get that kill on the Dead Prophet. As supports rotate around. She gets
this tower's dead. It's got a catapult. There's no fortification left, and Aaron dragged the wave away. So 6 minutes, 40 seconds into the game, and bot lane tower is gone.
Mix Assassin can heal. He's not only going to live, they'll turn and kill the Clockwork. By the way, Clock probably one of the better heroes to play against the Nyx. Just feels good. You plant some sentries, some wards on the map. You know that Nyx will be invading. You just catch him. He can't destroy the cogs fast enough because of the battery assault. This was a different situation. Clockwork was already pretty damn low.
So they do see the Death Prophet here, thanks to the ward. I'm going to go for maybe a wraparound. If the Dawnbreaker is able to get on top of him, into the black hole, it would be huge. He does have the 6 Eidolons there, and Aiden's trying to run into the trees. He's going to get vision for a second. He doesn't. Just drops the black hole. Very much worth it, as Aaron will be the one that actually picks up the kill.
They really... making this DP very, very sad.
Yeah.
Because he was there to soak up some experience, right, under the tier 2 tower. But now he's dead, and the creeps will most likely die before he even gets there. So that's a level 5 DP, safe lane DP in a Tate.
Mid lane, Coil comes through. LWW going in, does catch a battery assault, but it's held Nyx Assassin in place. 928 will fall. Storm does need to be a little bit careful here, but he's got a remnant to safety. He's going to be able to bottle up the Invis rune, instantly going to drop it as well. Just trying to regen up a little bit.
He's going to have to do quite a bit. Right, when you're an Ember and your side lanes are suffering the way, well, it's your true offlane, right? Like your DP, your combo playmaker is suffering quite a lot, so it's on you now to really make that difference and reel the team back into the game. As Void, yeah, he's winning top. He's done quite well. He pressured this AM almost out of the lane, but he's not going to be the one making a ton of plays this early on.
He's actually got a Midas queued up. I'm not sure if you saw that. Sinful Soul realizing, Maelstrom maybe not going to do a ton of work for him this game, so he just would rather get a Midas instead.
Okay, a little bit of a different approach. Kind of does the same thing, right? Like gives you that attack speed in the Chrono too. Doesn't give you bonus Maelstrom procs, obviously. I'm surprised. I haven't really seen that build for a long time.
The Midas rush on a faceless?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he is off to a pretty amazing start in the top lane. Maybe that was like some of the reasoning behind it with how good the lane's going. But like we said, we both kind of worry, about their late game scaling into this side of Saiyan, especially if MS manages to get a decently timed Battle Fury, but he's having a really rough game as well. He's having a worse game than the Death Prophet.
Yeah, he's been crushed. Like that one death when he tried to go in and help out Clockwork, kill Enchantress. That one death really set him back. But not only that, they were just losing the lane anyway. LWW, LVV.
Ooh, they're going to come in with the Dawnbreaker and the Coil there as well, holding Storm into place, and that is a big pick off there for Saiyan. Chronosphere comes out from Sinful Soul. He's just trying to take down the Clockwork, gets the kill, turning his attention over to Aaron. Bash after bash, and from downtown, Polison grabs with an impetus.
Yeah, really nicely done from him. He was actually low on mana before, but he got his resources. He was farming close nearby so that he can actually connect with the Chronosphere. It's more about that, right? It's not about the way he jumped in and used Chrono on 2. It's about the fact that he was there. He was not on top lane, not pushing some lane. He was farming very nearby.
Hookshot in, LWW trying to get on top of the Enchantress, just hits level 6, so that Untouchable does come out, but enough damage already committed. Wilson will fall, LWW actually stays alive thanks to the raindrops there. Storm doesn't have many spells left, so they will have to just back off. Zone falling super low here on the puck after just rejoining the mid lane.
You commit so much to kill that Enchantress. By the way, is that an orc? What's he building on Enigma? Is it an orchid?
That is an orchid.
That's an orchid.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is definitely an orchid.
How do you feel about that?
It is a little bit confusing, I'll be honest. He's got the recipe coming out, and he's about 100 gold off the Void Stone, so he's going to get it on this bottom wave. I'm trying to think, like, the main reasoning behind it. I guess he's not really planning on using the Black Hole all that much, but he's going to be able to have kill threat just off of, like, Malefice and, like, Midnight Pulse, as long as he has Eidolons.
It's a great item against the Void and the Ember, right? Like, it just it crushes them early on. If you can get that item against them early on, it's amazing. But my problem is Enigma at this stage of the game isn't the most mobile.
No, not at all. You just sit bottom. He's not like he's not planning on leaving this bottom lane anytime soon. He's almost taking the tier 2 tower actually, but the hero's super slow. You just throw Eidolons down the wave.
Exactly. So, will that orchid actually be that useful? Will you be able to catch, I don't know, and chase Ember or Faceless Void before they get their respective items? Save them from the silence mid lane.
Yeah, nice engagement there. LWW might get saved. Nah, it's not going to happen, but Aaron will join the fray. What with the exorcism? Thinking he might need to run. Enchant comes through. 928 is there with the Vendetta, hunting for heroes. They will finally just grab the kill. He actually snipes it from his carries.
Yeah, that was actually a Clockwork initiating. He was the one that hook shotted in. And then there was a follow-up from the Dawnbreaker, but it was just a badly read situation. Because you're hook-shotting after all right next to the tower. You're going in the fight when tier 1 is still standing. I think you need to take that objective as soon as possible and then perhaps make these moves. Because it's just, you don't have the burst damage to take anyone down before there's a response from YBB. Like, look at it this way. That Prophet has Siphon, right? Like, you're not killing her. Ember, Sight of Fist, and he just gets out. You have Enchantress untouchable heals. Faceless Void,
They
Time
smoked
Wall.
up mid. Looking for the Storm Spirit. Goku walks in, but 928 is there just to prevent the black hole. Instead, they're going to turn their attention with the hook shot and find themselves a bonus kill.
Yeah. This is...
This is good. This is good.
Yeah, this is good. This is correct. This is much better. Like, you just bring in the forces and then you can do it. I'm not sure why they're not pressuring the tier 1 afterwards. I felt that was perhaps a natural progression to things. But,
especially with the Enigma, right? Like, yeah. you can always threaten towers.
Exactly.
But
exactly. I expected him to do it, but they just fall back to farm in their own jungle.
Man, Sinful Soul is super farmed. Has the Yasha done now after his Midas. Double Wraithband treads. He's just top of the net worth here, crushing it on the Faceless Void. How do you feel about the Sanj and Yasha, though?
It's okay, I guess. With the Midas.
Just makes it a little bit tankier, maybe? I don't know.
It's a bit of damage, a bit of tankiness. I'm just weirded out overall by the Midas, so everything else afterwards becomes a bit weird.
You know, sometimes you just let it rip. The chrono's off the mark, but he does catch the time dilation, and that's going to be enough to take down the puck anyway. Aaron actually kind of jumps in anyway on the Dawnbreaker. LWW is nearby, but so is Goku. He's got the black hole. He gets the Orchid, actually. Drops it on the Clockwork, or onto the Faceless Void, and with that one, they will pop him. Enchantress managed to keep himself alive here. Those 2 points in the Nature's Attendants, doing a decent amount of healing. And Storm trying to rejoin the fight here. The Maelstrom doing work. He's got a Sleight of Fist available. Will he be able to get the kill? He does not. So managed to keep themselves alive. A nice enchant slowing up LWW on the Clockwork, but he's got the cog to try and keep himself alive. The one last auto attack's not enough.
Doesn't kill him, yeah. He had the hookshot there as well available to work with. But yeah, Son Goku utilizing his Orchid into a black hole on the Void.
He's got a mid lane. Ember, the Orchid comes through, and MS going to join the fray as well. Just pops him with the Mana Void.
Okay, definitely.
That's the blink reveal.
Yeah, definitely putting his items to use. Still, though, after taking kills, after getting pickups, they don't pressure the lanes. They go straight back into the jungle.
Yeah, they find Polus in this time, but Enchantress is not an easy kill. The Soul Burn from the Orchid, not enough, but it will be with Aaron Starbreaker. And you're right, they're still not pressuring this mid tower.
Would you rather see Manta on Void than the SNY, or do you think SNY is better?
I mean, now that I see an Orchid on an Enigma and you're up against a puck, it's like, to me, right? I feel like Manta is necessity, but maybe go with BKB right after this SNY.
Yeah, he's got that Midas to work with. It's a very greedy build, though, and he might get punished for it. But so far, what we've seen from Team Saiyan is they're just happy to farm. And they do have an AM, so you can understand that way of thinking.
Yeah, they're definitely, you can see the net worth start to trend in their favor, right? Like, it was a little bit in favor of YBB at the start of the game, but for the last, say, like 7 minutes, it's just been all slightly trending towards Saiyan. A couple pickoffs here and there, but just the heroes in general farm incredibly fast. MS has that Battle Fury now on the Anti-Mage, so much more difficult for them to actually shut him down at this point.
Yeah. You know that same Battle Fury can mess with him a little bit because of the Nyx, right?
Yeah, that is always scary. He actually, I'm not sure if you saw that, but as he went up to farm the wave on MS, Aaron dusted the wave just to make sure that there wasn't like a Vendetta Nyx sitting behind it.
Yeah.
It was actually like kind of funny, but that is all. It's the same thing we're talking about with Puck, right? You always have to be careful of the Nyx assassin, but Anti-Mage does as well.
Yeah, just one of these heroes that get into your head, you know, like Nyx assassin, Techies,
Pudge, my boy.
Pudge, yeah, they're always there in the back thinking about them.
Ooh, scan on the mark. Sinful Soul into the trees. The ward here doesn't actually scout him coming back, so I think they're expecting a TP out or something along those lines. His smoke does get popped here on LWW. They will see Enchantress. They will see Sinful Soul making their rotation on over. I think they know it's time to back on out. Ward Sentry comes down. LWW gets the cogs out, but 928's going to pop him with the Carapace. Orchid does come through from Goku, though. Storm here with an Invis Rune, looking for these targets. He wants to get that Enigma, but ends up walking under a Sentry, and he's just going to go ahead and settle for the Clockwork. Potentially, but a hook shot comes through, and he is out. Not bad. Good disengage there from Saiyan.
Yep. Managing not to lose anyone. Meanwhile, your AM still racking up that farm. He's even with the Battle Fury, he still didn't take over the Void, which is a little bit scary, but that matchup can go heavily in AM's favor.
You gotta tell me, what do you think? Oh, mid lane, they've caught Ember Spirit once again, holding them in the cogs. They are gonna have the Dawnbreaker to come through as well. Can they finish off the Ember? They do. A double kill for Aaron on the Dawnbreaker, aided, pops BKB, and there's gonna be a Chronosphere from Faceless Void. But that is just for the supports. Oh no, it feels like you've committed a lot here on YBB now, and saying, I'm pretty sure they're okay with this.
Yeah, of course they are. They lost supports, AM farming, you killed Ember, you killed the Nyx. Your trade, even your trade was good as you forced the Chrono out too. So, if you're saying you're more than happy with what just happened.
So I gotta ask you, I'm not sure if you saw MS's build here, but it is a little bit, I would say, unusual. What do you think of the Anti-Mage going for an Aghanim Scepter? Second item.
Oh no. Are we gonna be seeing this in pubs all the time now? Please no. Please, Gaben, no.
Mid lane, Orchid comes out again onto Ember. Dude, his game is in shambles. Goku even committing the black hole just in case. He thought he was going to be able to get away, but 928 comes in. Spike Carapace plus the stun. Doing some damage, but it's not enough to bring him down. LWW and do what he can. Or, I mean, they do get the nice coil there. Olsen silenced up here on the Enchantress. Can actually continue the chase, and Zone trying to pop him with the Soul Burn. It doesn't actually do enough damage as he gets the heal off. Dawnbreaker off the mark there with that hammer.
Yeah. What do you think about the Axe? I feel that it will allow him perhaps to be a bit more active earlier. You can spam those illusions on heroes and kind of be an active anti-mage. But overall, I'm not a big fan, especially instantly after the Battle Fury. I feel that Manta is still too damn good for you. When you're playing versus someone like a Void, you jump him with Manta, he just has no mana instantly.
Yeah, so that's what I was wondering. My only thought process is he doesn't want to jump the Faceless Void. He just wants to send the illusions at him or something. I can't imagine there's any other reason than that. Like you doing, like you said, burning the mana on the Faceless Void is huge. It is not a super high mana hero, but top lane he's getting the runaround here from Aaron. But they will be able to block him off, trap him in the trees. And that's gonna be a kill going the way of the Faceless Void. Yeah, I'm curious to see how he uses this Aghanim Scepter, because I'm not quite sure how this Blink Fragment's going to come into play.
So far, I have rarely seen it do that much. Like, it's strong, yeah, but I feel that the casual build is still just as good as before.
Can you farm with these? Like, if you send them to farm waves, they only last for 7 seconds. And they do 25% damage, so I don't really know where that comes through. They are going to be able to get the scan onto the Roshan. All right, Blink Fragment might be kind of useful here in terms of scouting the Roach and getting in there, but on the backside, they've just blown up the puck right away. MS looking for his target. He's completely burned out the mana of that Death Prophet, but that is it. They just get the Roshan, the Aegis goes the way of the Faceless Void, and you lose the puck.
Yeah, just a little bit of a disaster there for Saiyan. Did you notice just how much teams are struggling when it comes to the way they should approach Rosh in Division 2? Like way more than in Division 1. Like when to go Rosh, how to set up for Rosh, how to defend Rosh, from which side to approach Rosh if you're defending. It's
I mean, you would think, looking at Saiyan's lineup, that they have this like ability to take Roach on pretty easily, right? If they scout anyone inside the Roach pit, it is just a blank black hole comes through from Goku.
Yeah.
But yeah, unable to make it happen, and he just goes right back to the bottom lane, continue the split push on the Enigma. Meanwhile, it looks like YBB wants to get a little bit aggressive here as they start taking away some of the jungle. Both teams just content farming. A slight gold advantage for Saiyan, but it's not much.
Look at them as Aghanims. Battle Fury, Aghanims, Butterfly next.
I mean, the Butterfly, I guess, is good because you can't, like, evasion does work against the Death Prophet ghosts, right?
It's good this game overall. Sorry, it's good this game overall. It's just, yeah, he's not the tankiest boy. I guess you get the Ogre Axe and the point booster from the Aghanims, which does help. But if you get chronoed, I feel like you just die. They don't need damage in the chrono besides the one that Void will be giving.
He's already got a MKB queued up after his BKB.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Faceless Void's anticipating this.
Yeah. He knows exactly, right? Like.
Yeah, he does. Top lane scouted out here by the Faceless Void, able to just catch him. YBB should be able to bring down the Dawnbreaker pretty easily. The BKB actually comes out from the Faceless Void. He drops the Chrono as well. He really wants these 2 kills, and he's going to do it. The question is he going to get punished for this? The Silence on the backside manages to find the Death Prophet, try and zone her out. LWW keeping himself alive with Sinful Soul, kind of just playing games with them. He can't actually secure the kill. And now, meanwhile, in the center here, in goes Goku. He gets the black hole, but it's only onto the Ember Spirit. The BKB committed as well, but now he's got to find a way out of here. It's just going to be a Bash City here from Faceless Void. 3 dead on the side of Saiyan, and a tier 2 tower to boot.
I don't know, man. I didn't really see that Aghanims really doing a lot.
I didn't even notice it once, if I'm entirely honest.
So Snare sent us some stats, so I'm gonna use Snare, the stats man. By the way, Snare, you can always come and talk to us as well about these stats. You don't have to just message them. So Faceless Void, out of 61 games, this patch only the 10th Midas, and Anti-Mage has never made this build before. Like, this is literally the first time this build has been made on an AM. In a pro game, that is.
That's pretty wild. Like, I don't know. It's like it's a weird one for sure. Oh, they managed to find Polson on the Enchantress. Catch it with a hookshot. Silence comes through, but Sinful Soul on the backside with a big time dilation. He's gonna try and turn his attention on over the Animage, but he thought it was the real one. It wasn't. Instead, they will take down the Clockwork, now trying to focus the Dawnbreaker, and they've managed to catch Goku in the center. No ults from the Solar Guardian, and they've taken down 3.
Yeah, you were right, by the way, when you said this game should be done 26-30 minutes in. And YBB are definitely showing us why. Honestly, I don't even see this AM carrying the game any longer.
Nah, I don't either.
I don't see us getting to that critical point in which AM just becomes a beast. His itemization just will not allow him to do that. As it was already supposed to happen, right? Like around this mark, it was supposed to happen that he joins the fight and he just destroys.
Or that he's at least further ahead than the Faceless Void. Like, he goes this Aghanim Scepter, which doesn't help him farm at all. Right? Like, the Faceless Void went a very greedy build, Hand of Midas into Sanj and Yasha before going for his BKB. Like, and he got away with it completely. He's 8-1.
Yeah, there was absolutely no Yasha on AM as well, so he's moving kind of slower than he usually does.
Yeah, just unfortunate for MS. Like, he's just not going to be able to hit, you know, the timing or keep up with the Faceless Void at this point. And, you know, maybe if they can hold out, they have the late game with this Enigma, right? Goku having the BKB, queuing up the refresher. I mean, these are big items for that Enigma, but
yeah, those are some big items for Enigma. Also, some big optimism from him.
yeah. Aaron did finish up the Aghanim Scepter, though. So you do have that on the Dawnbreaker, which is a big deal, especially dealing with Chronosphere, that 60% evasion. And until he has the MKB completed on the Faceless Void, that should keep your Chrono targets alive.
Together with the Holy Locket, right? Like it actually does a ton.
It's a lot of healing.
Dire's top tower is under
Dude,
attack.
Polison is super farmed as well. Wraith Pact and a Holy Locket himself, working towards a pipe. Both teams just back to farming, it seems. Like they're just no one's really sure what to do at the moment.
Yeah, the game is like that, isn't it? Like both teams, even though there's everything pretty much on YBB's side, they have the Chrono, they have the Dead Prophet ulti. Rosh isn't about to spawn anytime soon. They're just happy with taking this top part of the map and just letting the AM farm. And he's getting a lot. Like, he's getting the Ancients on the right side and he's getting the bottom side of the map. So it's not like it's not like they're choking them out and just keeping them in the base. Nothing like that. I do believe that they could use their big ultis, not necessarily to take a fight, just to scare Team Saiyan from being so free on the map.
Well, they do manage to finish up the Butterfly on the Anti-Mage, so lots of evasion. Mid lane zone with the DD rune, drops the coil, and that's going to be the Anti-Mage just throwing those fragments in. So first time we've really seen that come to effect here. Question is, can they find something else? And they're going to try. They smoke up right away. As they try and find potentially the Death Prophet in the top lane, but 928 is positioned perfectly here on this Nyx Assassin, ready to try and break a team smoke. Players coming through from LWW, and they find nothing.
Yeah, they were hoping that someone was left behind in the trees, maybe on top lane. AM would find him, then they can follow up, but they got out very quickly. Plus there's a tier 1 on top lane, you can't really rotate around it. You would have to go straight up, head first into the Nyx Assassin. Which...
Yeah, I mean, they got tier 1 mid even still. It hasn't gone. It hasn't been taken at all.
And that's right. That's the biggest issue. Like, you have this tier 1 mid. How do you smoke? Like, if you're smoking up, YBB really have to be completely tunnel visioning not to see that smoke coming. As like, you don't really have many places to be on the map. That tier 1 will break every single smoke, more or less. You just have to... Basically, when you have tier 1 tower as Radiant, all you have to do is sit on the triangle, on the high ground. And you'll break the smoke, you'll have high ground vision advantage, you'll win the fight.
Yeah. All right, Aaron just, maybe he just didn't see the Polison Enchantress walk up, but he just places a ward right after it gets dewarded. So, unfortunate for him. Wait, is Anti-Mage's Blink Fragments not affected by Untouchable?
I'm not sure. Why wouldn't they be? I think they should be, right?
I feel like they should be, but it doesn't look like their attack speed's being slowed at all by the Enchantress Untouchable.
Yeah, not sure.
Maybe he just has a ton of attack speed, but it was attacking pretty dang fast, so we'll see.
He does have a ton of attack speed, that's definitely true, so...
They smoke up. They're going to smoke up as well on YBB, though. High ground advantage definitely go on the side of the Radiated. He's going to pop that Exorcism, turn with BKB, but the Nyx Assassin gets a huge stun into a perfect Chrono. Goku gets a beautiful black hole on the side, though. It's found the Faceless Void as BKB is there, and in comes the Dawnbreaker. Sinful Soul managed to survive for now, but Enigma is falling low. You lose the Dawnbreaker. You've lost the Clockwork. You're going to buy back into the game. You're just crumbling on the side of Saiyan. They find the Anti-Mage. The Orchid comes through. Big hook shot, but it's not going to matter. They get the kill. And without an anti-mage and no buyback, Saiyan
Straight
in
into
a
the pit,
world
right?
of hurt
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, that whole fight just demonstrated the weakness of this anti-mage's build. Just does pretty much insignificant amount of damage. Also, the moment he gets Orchid, he's unable to do anything about it. No manta to get rid of it. Just dies afterwards. Nice black hole. It was decent.
Yeah, I mean,
the problem
did a
is
ton of damage this fight, but
yeah, and Enigma did like 5k, but there's just no one else that can do much in these fights.
yeah, the MKB being finished plus the Mindbreaker on Sinful Soul was just way too much for them to deal with. The Dawnbreaker ult not really able to save anyone. The Butterfly and Anti-Mage, of course, not really coming into effect. It was just too good. And I mean, eventually Ember Spirit's going to get a Bloodthorn too. I mean, he's a while away, but that's, you know, another form of True Strike. And at this point, like, Anti-Mage's build, yeah, it's just not paying off at all.
Yeah, he had some idea, some experiment in his mind that he wanted to try out. I don't blame him. Like, it happens, right? Like, we all sometimes have felt that our build is the best and that it makes a ton of sense, but sometimes the simplest and what everyone does is probably better. So
Yeah, you always got to give certain things a try, right?
yeah, I mean, I remember some builds that were so flamed for, like offlaners building Poor Man's Shield, even though they're not agi, like their strength or something, and then everyone started doing it.
And then every hero in the game built it, and then they're like, all right, we're just going to give this to melee heroes. We're tired of it.
Yeah, exactly. Zone, mid lane?
Yeah, another pick off. That's just the double like two silences, right? The Death Prophet as well as the Orchid. Doesn't have a BKB, doesn't have a Yules, doesn't have any defensive items. It is just Blink, Witchblade, Kaya Sange.
Yeah,
I feel like Saiyan's getting so heavily punished for their lack of defensive items.
Which they should be, right? Well, like when you think about it, like the way they itemized, like Orchid on Enigma, or like full offensive items on the puck, same on the AM. I don't know. They probably expected the Dawnbreaker to save all of them. She does a lot, but it's too much to ask from one hero.
Well, MS, you know, he threw the Blink fragments at the Face's Void, managed to burn a little bit of mana, but they find the Clockwork outside the base, and that's going to be a troublesome... Ooh, Chrono off the mark there as it's dodged out by the Anti-Mage. And Goku, he's got a black hole. They've lost one lane of barracks, they'll lose a tier 3 in the mid lane, and YBB is just going to back on out.
Yeah,
Storm tipping his own carry, like, nice one, bud.
You get that level 25 talent. Okay.
Hey, with Chronosphere AoE, he's so not worried about dying at all this game.
Yeah, you get that level 25 talent, you get the big bubble, and you still miss it. And you're like, yeah, sure, doesn't matter. Let's go back, farm up, push out the lanes, come back when the Chrono is back up. We still have 2 minutes on the Aegis.
He's actually queued up an A on this. Do you feel like that's necessary?
Who did Void?
Yeah. He's got like 6. He's got 7. Okay, boss. He's queuing up a hex. He's got 7,500 gold. I was like, don't you just buy like a refresher or like I don't know, something else? But yeah, he's just gonna go hex, it seems, and then after that, potentially a refresher.
Hex?
Yeah, Scythe of Ice. That's the Face's Void item, I guess. Homeboy needs mana and an instant disable so he can land his Chronospheres.
Yeah, I can't Chrono, so I'm gonna buy Hex. Makes sense.
That's quite funny. It also, I'm assuming, will pop the Blink fragments immediately, so it's one of those things where it does at least help you find which one the real Anti-Mage is.
Yeah, that's true. That's some next level thinking that I didn't consider.
Well, he's found the real MS in the jungle here. The question is, will he get him? Oh, finds Aaron instead, gets him with the Hex reveal, and he's just instantly dead.
And now he feels like, this was supposed to be my game-winning Hex, goddammit, and I had to use it on this Dawnbreaker.
I mean, there's, like, MS is still got to be very scared about this Hex. There's not a lot he can do. He's hiding behind his tier 4 towers, but... Oh. Yeah, LW does. Like, careful, buddy. This dude's gonna sheep you, and at that point, you're just dead. Chronosphere coming off cooldown in just a few seconds, but he's out of mana now. Okay, this is quite annoying for the anti-mage. So no mana for Hex.
Yeah. Did you know that this is all me, not Snare sending at all stats. The second Hex of all time on Faceless Void. That sounds
Second of all time?
That sounds very unbelievable, Snare. Maybe in the last patch or something last year.
I feel like there's definitely got to have been more than one Hex built.
I agree. In pro games, I feel that's 100% because Faceless Void was played on offlane a lot as well. He was that utility position 3 at one point. I don't know where you're getting these stats, Snare, but they're kind of sus. But I'll believe you. I'll trust you.
Oh. Refresher done on the Enigma. He's almost to his Aghanim shard. He's just not going to worry about buyback potentially. And, you know, this shard is quite good. It's definitely like it's something you have to worry about in the fights. You can't really just stand still.
Yeah, you get a little bit of that pull.
Yeah, but the real question is it going to be enough? You know, like, okay, yeah, the Untouchable Slow definitely works on the anti-main illusion.
It works, yeah. He just has a lot of attack speed, so maybe it was level 2 untouchable and didn't look that amazing.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. He did finish his Manta, but
you know what? There's this deal with Manta against Enchantress as well, where she just takes an illusion away from you.
Yeah,
sends it at you.
That's
So maybe,
annoying.
maybe that's something.
Oh, they've caught the anti-mage. He finds the real one. He baits it with the Hex, and in comes a Dawnbreaker. It's not going to be enough to save him. The MKB just doing work. Goku's on the side here. He uses the black hole by mistake. He's going to pop the Refresher, try and drop the second one, and that will come through. The buyback from the AM ends up putting good work in. The question is, can they get more out of the storm in the enemy base? Will just be able to remnant on out of here. Back in from the Faceless Void. He's like, all right, I want to close this game out. Goku sideline, no black holes available.
Okay, this is a crazy game right now. There is no Enigma, yeah, sure, but also Faceless Void doesn't have a buyback. Doesn't have a Chrono, doesn't have a buyback. If you manage to kill him, perhaps the game opens up for Team Saiyan. Very unlikely, but perhaps possible. Top lane, pushes happening in.
Yeah. He's looking for his real target on the backside. He's just going to go ahead and settle for one. That's just the the Clockwork, because the Enchanter was kind of baiting that one out. And with this Exorcism, he gets a stun onto the puck. It's 928 is a follow-up there. MS goes in on the Anti-Mage, but he's just 1v4 for the moment. The silence comes through, and that is it. Anti-Mage is dead. No buyback. Syrian Chains in from Storm, trying to hold this puck in place. We'll be able to do so, and Sinful Soul just did so much work on the Faceless Void this game, and Saiyan, that's it, gonna tap out in game number 1.
Very nicely done overall by Ybb. They didn't experiment way too hard. Sinful Soul, okay, he didn't buy that Manta or anything, but it wasn't that crazy of a build. Went Midas into SLY, MKB after he knew that the Butterfly was coming from the Anti-Mage. The Chronos were on point. The rotations were on point from Ember as well. Itemization wasn't poor. Meanwhile, on the side of Team Saiyan, it was just wacky all over the place. No defensive items from any of them, right?
Yeah,
like,
Enigma. They literally only have like BKB on Enigma. Yep. They eventually got an Aeon Disc on Puck, but this was after like Kaya Sanj, the Witchblade, the Blink. He had an Aether Lens queued up at one point and had to like cancel buying the Aether Lens to go back for the Aeon Disc. Like it felt like Saiyan was on a different page here.
Yep. There were many pages that they were on, but none of them were there together because it was a very disjointed game. I mean, we did get a lot of fun coming out of them, right? Like an Orchid first on this Enigma hero, very rarely done. It's only the 7th one all time being done. And yes, believe me when I say it's only the 2nd Faceless Void scythe. I thought it was weird as well, but I was like, oh, okay. Most Voids aren't going for the Hand of Midas. He's like, let's do it. Let's try this out. But ultimately, when it comes to wonky things that happen in this game, itemization was wonky for the side of Team Saiyan, but where I really think the W came from, gentlemen, is how they handled this anti-mage. So many games in the past where you see an anti-mage pick, the team that picks anti-mage will last ban a hero like the Slaughter, for example, just to make sure you get some laning advantage. You do not want to play up against some passive ability that just bolos you in the lane. Unfortunately for them, on the side of Team Saiyan, YBB looked at it and was like, wait a second. We have a hero with a very good passive who matches up very well against AM early on. This feels like, you mentioned it in the game just now, Lizard, we used to get a lot of offlane faceless void in these kind of situations, and they read the game perfectly. Bring it out, deploy it again in the laning phase. Don't even allow anti-mage to, and it never really happened for him. He was poor the whole game, and even when he got some money, how that money was spent was a little bit bizarre on the side of NS, but ultimately they end up with the L here. It feels like we're watching Ybb Gaming because we have no option but to talk about these items, Lizard. Ags first. Why? What happened? What's this about?
Look, I have a friend, we're playing Turbo, and he goes Ags Moonshard every single game on Anti-Mage, and he swears by it, and it's trash. And this build from AM didn't seem any better, but it did seem like a build that Team YBB was completely prepared for. As if you look at the Faceless Void, he instantly went for that MKB, right? Like there was not a single component of Butterfly bought on AM, and he was already purchasing parts of MKB on the Faceless Void. So he knew what was coming. It's not something that they haven't seen before, perhaps something that Team Saiyan has experimented with in scrims. Right now, it's like that always when you experiment. You either look like a genius or you look like a fool, and I'm leaning towards this other one in the last game. Yeah.
I mean,
Rough
you just
game
spent
for them.
4,200 gold to not farm on an anti-mage. Like, that's my biggest complaint here. Like, if he just has a BKB or, I mean, I would argue that you could go Diffusal this game. You could actually go Diffusal this game on the anti-mage, and it would be way better. But you just get the Manta into like BKB or something, and like suddenly he's able to fight, or you're like very safe split pushing. It just feels super unfortunate for him.
The Manta timing that he got for himself at the very end of the game was, unfortunately for him, the second slowest Manta of all time. And we've seen a lot of anti-mage over the years, so that's not a good timing at all. And unfortunately, it's not just the fact that the Manta was late because of the usual progression of this hero. The Manta was so good in this game. There were several times where we saw him dying underneath either the DP silence or the Ember Spirit Orchid silence, simply for a lack of defense. You actually can't do anything when these jumps would happen onto you. And unfortunately, it just became a huge problem down the line. He presented no threat to the Faceless Void. Faceless Void always had mana available for the most part, so he could do what he wanted in the midst of these team fights. And there were a couple of cool black holes that did come in from Son Goku. This Orchid build was seeming like it was working out at the beginning. A couple of big catches onto this Ember Spirit especially, and there was some glimmers of hope, but eventually these lack of defensive items really started to catch up to them. You can't play a game this greedily, I think. Up against what YBB has, especially when Cryptic, you were mentioning it, if they need to get into a dominant position within the first 20-25 minutes of this game for YBB, once they're in that position, suddenly the responsibility is on Team Saiyan to just hold. Just try and hold, and you just can't do that if you lack the items to survive any of these initiations, made much worse by the fact that this Dawnbreaker, you're relying on her to break up these team fights, provide you with heals, but she's a support. Not going to be getting as much farm as you would prefer in this game. And anytime she just gets looked at weirdly, she'd also just fold over, it felt like.
Yeah, but you know what, actually? Like, why buy Manta and use two illusions at the same time if you can buy Aghanim's and send one illusion after another whenever you wish to? You know?
Yeah, I mean,
why be wasteful? I don't know. Ricky is complaining a lot about this, but why be wasteful, Ricky? Why not just... You know, we're living in a world in which we have shortages. Like,
yeah.
So
it's true. I mean, I understand the ideas behind the Aghanim Scepter. Like, it's to just mana burn these heroes that don't have huge mana pools. Like, if you can prevent Sinful Soul from ever being able to chrono because he has no mana, it's really good. But he just gets a BKB, and like the second you send one of those illusions on him, he just BKB'd and then looked for a chrono target. He did it every single fight. And like once that's happening, like you don't really have many options left.
This fight just also broke my heart, having to watch an anti-mage just lumber around not being able to do anything, can't blink, can't move quickly. It's just impossible to play a game under these conditions. And it's got a little bit unfortunate because this Park for Zone didn't have the worst start in the world, and he was supposed to be able to supplement the team, create the space and chaos for them. But you just, every time he would go in for a fight, if they didn't have the full black hole committed as well, they just had no follow-up. Just, you didn't really feel that comfortable here. So it turns out our Cryptic last pick Anti-Mage was a perfect situation for it, but YBB knew how to respond. Should we have had a lane swap earlier on, maybe from the side of Team Saiyan, just to try and ensure that you at least get an early game for the AM?
I don't think it was that big of an issue. Like, the lane didn't go great, but like your offlane Enigma was enormous, and Goku actually played a really good early lane. Like, once the lane stage broke down, like, he actually played really well. Like, I think his Orchid, yeah, it's like unorthodox, but he did what he needed to do with it, and then he just sells it and gets his regular Enigma items, and I think that's totally fine. It is. I think he actually played very well. It's just there's just nothing else that happened this game. Like, it was just his Enigma finding pickoffs, really. So it just seemed a little unfortunate.
Yep. A lot unfortunate for them. And Sinful Soul gets the MVP award. Not something that we often see being awarded to Faceless Void players, but picks it up this game. Somebody please get a clip and take a small picture of his item build here, post it on Reddit and say, guess the hero here. People would have a very difficult time imagining that this was the Faceless Void, but it worked out perfectly for him. In retrospect, Lizard, it turns out getting the Midas plus that MKB plus SNY gave him a ton of attack speed that it just was guaranteeing that he was at least able to kill the anti-mage every time he got caught inside the bubble. And look at that delta of damage in this game. So much more being dealt out by the side of YBB. Yeah, they had DP and the Ember Spirit, but I'm not sure any of us were expecting the delta and damage to be this large between them.
Yeah, they just itemized better and dealt more damage. And I don't even want to open up the scoreboard and see how much damage Anti-Mage dealt, because it's probably not going to be quite a lot.
I can just tell you it is the fourth lowest on his team.
Yeah.
Oof. It's worse than that, our Cryptic. It's almost as much damage as Polisons and Chantress did in this game.
Your Clockwork did more damage than your position 1 Anti-Mage. That, that's... It's a position 4 Clockwork. But still.
I would understand because there's scenarios where like an anti-mage doesn't do any damage, right? If you're like playing the split push farm and then you just lost the early game too hard and the game ends at like 25 minutes. Like those games, you're like, yeah, okay, anti-mage didn't do any damage, but that's just like the nature of what happened this game. This was a game where like he could have popped off. I think you get to that 41-minute mark. Your anti-mage should have more game impact than this, and it just didn't happen.
This, especially when this is a situation where you are lost overall picking said anti-mage. He is your win condition. He's the one that you're supposed to ensure gets a good game. And unfortunately for Team Saiyan, they were not able to make that happen. So now they have their backs against the ropes, because if they lose this next game, they are guaranteed to be relegated from Division 2 of the DPC. They cannot afford that outcome, so they need to punch back heavily once we get into Game 2. With that, we're going to be taking a very short break. When we come back, we're hoping for a better form from Team Saiyan. And we're, of course, hoping for YBB to continue looking as good as they did in Game 1. Hoping for more weird itemizations. I want to see, for example, another record being broken, where we had Ember Spirit, 2nd fastest, Bloodthorn on the patch, 8th fastest, all time, baby. So I want to see more stuff like that, more weird and wonderful things coming from the next game. With that short break, when we return, Game 2 of YBB.